this session as well? Great. Elzabe, hello. Can she hear us? Where are you joining us from again? Remind us.
From Pretoria, from Pretoria, South Africa. So
that's right. I remember. Welcome, welcome. Eh?
Thank you, thank you.
And I see Linda and James. Oh, Judy, there's Judy. Judy, you're on mute, sorry.
Hi, everybody. A quick video.
Hey.
I'm walking out. I don't know where my earphones are. So I'll be watching and everything, but you know, so now I'm going to take it off. I'm walking out and walking back in like 5 minutes.
Okay, great.
But I'll be listening
and
watching. Okay.
Nice, nice. Okay. Muriel, what do you think? Should we start with our music so we get started? I think we have enough
100%,
here.
100%.
Yeah? So DJ Apolline, take us away, folks. You know how we do this. We start with music. It's
Hi, everyone.
Hey, welcome. There's some time to dance.
Jerusalem.
Hi, everyone.
Jerusalem, ikayalami, ilonoloze, uhambe nami,
Okay, thank you, Apolline. Thank you. All right, over to you, Muriel.
Well, thank you, Taaka, and welcome once again, everyone. Happy Friday. We're so excited to see you all once again for the Leadership Happy Hour. You know how we do. It's such an exciting session where we discuss all things leadership. So I'm excited to see all of you. Some of you saw a message from me 2 days ago or 3 days ago, right? My name is Muriel, as you know already, and I'm the social media manager for Busara Africa. And I'm here with Taaka. You know Taaka, she's the CEO of Busara Africa. Hi, Taaka, and I'm here with Apolline.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Apolline. She's our COO, and I'm here with Lydia. Lydia, our program manager. Hi, Lydia. Nice. Well, if you're new here, don't forget there's a link in the chat. If Lydia, would you like to put the link in the chat? You can join right after the call, our leadership tribe. And, you know, we send you once or twice a month leadership tips, and we also invite you to the Leadership Happy Hour. So we don't spam at all. Okay, so let's begin. So I think, today, we're talking about effective strategies to influence up and manage a difficult boss, right? So, Taaka, are you ready?
I sure am.
Nice. Okay, so Taaka, what does it mean to influence up? Why the term influencing up? What does that mean?
Okay, so first again, greetings to everyone. Lovely to see you all, both those of us who are real regulars and those who are joining us for the first time. So let me jump straight to the question. What does it mean to influence up? Huh? Muriel, you know what I have found is that we always talk about leadership as a process of influencing others to achieve a shared goal. But we forget that those reporting to us are not the only ones we have to influence. Huh? We also have to influence those who are senior to us, and I find we're not talking enough about that. So I define influencing up as a process of getting one or more people in a position of seniority to do something specific. Huh? And it may involve two things. It may involve managing your boss or influencing management action. So that's influencing up. The process of getting people in a position of seniority to do something specific. And either it could be about influencing management, or it could be specifically managing your boss.
Okay, okay. But why is it important? Like if we start with management, like why is it important to influence like senior management?
What I have found is there are a couple of things. What I have found is that people in senior positions often are the ones who have the necessary authority to make something happen. So let me give an example. When I was the country director of ActionAid, I found that, yes, I may have had authority to influence what was happening in Ghana, but at the same time, I realized what was happening in Ghana was affected by global policies and directives. And as the CD, the country director for Ghana, I didn't have the authority to change those global policies, but they were still having an impact on my team. So I realized that I needed to influence those people up there, those international directors, the CEO of the entire organization. So that's the first thing. People in those senior positions have the power and authority. The second reason I have found it's important to influence at that level is I have found that sometimes people in senior positions don't have a full picture of what's happening at the operational level, or closer to the customer, or closer to those or the beneficiaries or constituents that you're working with. So for example, I have seen cases where a manager or a supervisor are much closer to the customer, and they see certain things in the way the company is operating or the way the organization is operating that really makes it for either a very negative customer experience, or they find if they're working with certain constituencies is very disempowering for those constituencies. So they see those things happening, and yet they may not be in a position to change those things. So by influencing up, you're able to change those things. And let me give you another example, a very pedantic example, quite simple one is, sometimes I will go into shops and I will find that, last time Gillian gave us a fantastic example of a shop, but we'll go into shops and find that they don't have a POS machine. And again, who is it? It's the poor shop attendant who will say, oh, my madam has not brought the POS. And I'll say to her, but you are the one who sees that without a POS machine, I spend less. Because now I'm dependent on either how much money I have in my mobile money, my Momo wallet, or how much cash I have on me. Whereas if you had the POS, I could just keep charging it, or I could spend a lot more. So her ability to influence the shop owner to say, actually, I'm the one who sees the customers, and I can see that if they have this particular thing, they would be able to spend more. So it's sometimes, again, people in senior positions don't have a full picture. And quite similarly, sometimes they don't have the full information about what needs to be done. So that's another reason. And finally, I would say, Muriel, what I've found is that often very senior folks have competing priorities, lots of demands coming on them from different directions. And if you have a particular issue you want to push forward, you need to speak up and influence if you want a decision to be made in a particular direction. So that's what I would say are some of the reasons why it's so important to influence senior management or your board or your shareholders, but influence up at that level.
Well, that's interesting. So I noticed that you've mentioned 4 big points. So first of all, so the people at the senior level are the ones who are able to make the decision, to make things change. So they are the ones, so you have to make sure that they know what's happening under at the low level. And also sometimes they don't have the full picture, they don't have the full information, and sometimes they're overwhelmed with the other competing priorities, so that if they don't know what's happening, you need to make sure that you speak up. So yeah. So so when it comes to your direct boss, why is it important to influence him or her, like your direct manager?
Yeah. And again, for those who are just joining us, welcome. We're talking about the importance of influencing up, and the fact that too often when we talk about leadership as influence, we're just thinking of those who report to us, but we're not paying enough attention on influencing up. So we've talked about management. And then Ma'am Muriel, as you said, so why is it important also to influence your boss? Number one, not all bosses, line managers, supervisor, whatever you call, whoever you report to, have the requisite leadership skills. Not all of us are blessed with people who have really invested in their leadership and are therefore able to manage and lead others well. So that means you have to manage them. Right. You have to work quite well with them to really get the best out of them in some respects. So that's the first one. Not all bosses have the requisite leadership skills. And therefore, and this is the second reason why it's important to influence your boss, many times your line manager may need feedback to improve. What I have found consistently is that one of the things that becomes more and more rare as you move up is honest, truthful, candid feedback. Now you can imagine that all of us constantly need feedback to do better, get better. But if we're not getting that feedback, then how do we improve? So just in the same way, your line manager, your board chair, whoever it is you're reporting to, needs that feedback to do well. So part of influencing them is being able to give them that feedback. So that's the second reason. The other reason, Muriel, is a not so positive one. Many of us may be in situations where we're trying to deliver certain things, but guess who or what is the biggest barrier to achieving results? Our line manager. It's just so unfortunate, but I've seen this in too many instances where people come to me and just say, oh, I'm so stressed because I'm trying to do X, Y, Z. And the person who is supposed to be facilitating me or enabling me is actually the person who's hindering me. So that means you really need to get good at influencing such people. So that's the other reason why you may need to influence your boss, because that person gets in the way of delivering results. And then the final reason is that, again, similar to senior management, and your boss may indeed be part of senior management or not, but similar to that situation, your boss or line manager may be in a role where they need to make decisions when they don't have full information about the impact of those decisions on your team, your customers, your constituency, your partners. And so your ability to influence them helps them make better decisions in a context where they may not have that key information. So those are some of the reasons why it's equally important to influence your direct line manager, not just management generally.
Well, thank you, Taaka. I mean, now that we know why it's important to influence the managers and your direct boss, how do we do that in a very efficient way? Do you have strategies that we can use to influence management decisions?
Okay, so let me, and folks, this is going to be a conversation. I'm soon going to stop talking and then we're going to open it up. And let me share a few strategies. And if you also have used some other strategies, please note them down. And when we open them up, please share, because we do want this to be a conversation. I'm just launching off. So first, some strategies to influence management generally. Number one, think big picture. I have seen too often, particularly when I've been facilitating senior management conversations, and then we'll have some folks come in to make a case, and I will see that they're just thinking very operationally, or they're thinking purely about their own team, and they'll come in and they'll make a case for management to make a decision, but the way they frame the case for management decision, they're not thinking big picture. They're not thinking strategically. They're just thinking of their own team. So it's really, and this is tied to the second strategy I would say, is link what you desire or what you're trying to achieve or what you want them to do to business or organizational objectives that management is concerned with. So I've seen instances, for example, where folks who are seeking to influence senior management, but they know senior management, for instance, is obsessed with value for money, making sure that things are efficient and that we're able to manage little resources and achieve big things. I've seen them link what they're trying to do to that particular objective. So that's the first thing. When you get clear on what is management's priority, make sure that you are able to link what you're trying to achieve with that priority. So that would have been the second one. So number one, think big picture, then link to business organization.
Business objectives, yeah.
The third one is keep your boss in the loop. And again, this will vary on the size of the organization, but I have seen people make colossal mistakes where they're like, my boss clearly is not the decision maker here. I need to go to another level higher. And they will use all their contacts and then they will jump their boss. And then their boss gets hijacked in a senior management meeting saying, oh, I didn't know this was an issue. So never jump your boss to go to a higher level. See your line manager potentially, if they are, as an ally in bringing the issue to broader management. But at the same time, you need to be really strategic. As you start to think about what is it that needs to change, as I need this particular policy change, I need this directive change, I need a particular budget for doing X, Y, Z. You need to decide or identify rather, not decide, identify who are the key influences. In other words, who are the key decision makers that will make this thing happen? Because the last thing would be decide what your best approach is. If you decide that, so-and-so is a key influencer and so-and-so is the kind of person, when they say A in senior management, probably it passes, but that person likes numbers. So maybe I should make sure I crunch some numbers. Maybe I need to push this through a finance committee, through a finance person. So it's also thinking about the right approach depending on who are the key influences of a process. So those are some strategies to influence management. And when we open it up, hopefully others will have more.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Taaka. I mean, I took some notes, so let me just recap really quickly what you said. So first of all, think big picture. And second of all, link what you desire to achieve to business objectives, right? And the third is keep your boss in the loop. Don't jump your boss. Fourth, be strategic, identify who the key influencers are. And number 5, decide on the best approach when you're trying to, make that decision. That's interesting. So that's on a management, senior management level, right? So how about the strategies for like direct boss when you're trying to influence your direct boss? Is it different?
Nice. It's slightly different. And if you see me, I'm actually looking on the chat. There's some fantastic points coming on the chat. When we open it up, let's definitely bring up some of these. Let's respond to some of these things. Samuel, well noted on, yes, not all bosses take feedback well. Vincent talks about the importance of this around in terms of organizational culture. Absolutely love that. Nadrata, I wish we were in person. The beauty of having this virtually is you can see we have folks from across the globe, not just the continent, across the globe, but you're all welcome. And we'll respond to those when we open it up. But yes, you asked, do I use slightly different strategies if it's about influencing my boss?
Exactly.
Some of them are the same, but maybe let me nuance it a little bit. I would say when it's your line manager, there's a key thing. First, really get to understand your line manager. You're better able to influence somebody you know and understand. But not just their personality and their quirks and their likes and dislikes, but also the results your boss is accountable for. And maybe this is more important in organizations where accountability matters and your boss is actually held to account on certain things. And if you work in such an organization, get really clear on that, not just your own deliverables, but also your boss's deliverable. Because I always find the more helpful you are to your line manager to help them deliver on their results, not just yours, the better you're able to influence them. So understand the results your boss is accountable for. And then the second thing is, by understanding those results, you are able to seek to join with rather than only reporting to your boss. What I've seen, particularly myself as a leader, but I've seen other leaders really value it when they find that the people they report to can serve as thinking partners. In other words, that those who they're part of, their team members are not just reporting to them all the time, but are also helping them think through, strategize to achieve those results that the line manager is responsible for. So that is, seek to join with rather than only reporting to your boss. The third thing I would say, and this is part of understanding your boss, is accurately diagnose what your boss values. Because you will find it's different currency for different things. Some bosses will value speed. The quicker you get things done, they're very happy. Other bosses will value attention to detail. You bring any mistake, they'll immediately zoom on it. Others would value your ability to consult. So you need to understand, what does this person value? Because in that way, you're able to deliver understanding what is important to them. I would then say, we talked about provide feedback as appropriate, understand your boss's preferred communication style. When presenting ideas, remember it's your responsibility to sell, not theirs to buy. So this is the value of understanding, their communication style. But let me say this, particularly in terms of influencing when you don't have a very positive boss. Don't be afraid to challenge issues around ethics and integrity. Part of influencing up is not just trying to get in their good books. That's not what we're talking about. Influencing up is also about holding the line and having boundaries and saying, I'm not going to remain silent on ethics violations. That there are certain things that are absolute no-no. Yeah. And then finally, sometimes influencing up is not taking things so personally. When things happen, it's having a bit of Teflon and saying, all right, this has happened. I'm not going to take it personally. Let me move on. So those are a number of things, again, but hopefully we'll hear from others on how they have managed to influence their boss.
That's amazing. Well, thank you, Taaka. So let me quickly recap again. So first of all, get to understand your line manager, right? Get clear on the results that your boss is accountable for so you can actually help them, so you can join with instead of reporting to. And also diagnose what your boss value is, like if he likes attention to details or delivering fast on task. And don't take things personally. Don't. I think that's my favorite. And also challenge ethical issues. Okay, so Taaka, some of us are not blessed with good bosses. We sometimes, we find ourselves with bosses that actually, with a boss that can micromanage and take credit for your work, and then the boss that probably never shows appreciation. And sometimes it really makes your job really difficult. So what do you do in such a situation?
Thank you, Muriel. Sorry, I was looking for the unmute button. And again, this is the tough one. And folks, you know that our last leadership tip video, we indeed talked about what do you do to manage a toxic boss. Lydia will put the link in the chat if you missed that particular video. So I'm not going to repeat a lot of what was said in that video. Instead, I will focus maybe on a couple of principles you can apply if you are not so blessed with a good boss, if you have a less than perfect boss. Number one, be excellent at what you do. What I have found is when you are dealing with a difficult line manager, you need to protect yourself. And one of the ways you protect yourself is by producing excellent work, by complying with rules and regulations. In other words, not making yourself vulnerable, because the more excellent you are, it reduces your vulnerability to your boss finding faults and makes you also more valuable to the organization. So that's the first one. Be excellent at what you do. Number 2 is quite similar to what we've already talked about. Really seek to understand your boss. Know what their priorities are. Be sensitive to their insecurities so you can manage them. Because again, what I found, I'm so sorry to say, but what I found has often driven really less than perfect bosses is egos and insecurities. So when you understand that and you know how to navigate and manage that, it's almost like you protect yourself so you can get on with things. But also understanding them is also constantly getting them to clarify expectations. What is it they expect? What is it they want and don't want? Because as they start, and one of the challenges I found is some bosses, their work is a moving target. First they want this, then they want that. By getting them to clarify expectations, it also makes sure they're clear in their mind what they would like for you. So that's the second, understanding. The third is back to the thing I talked about, boundaries, not taking things personally. When your boss is difficult, remember many times that bad behavior is about them, not you. I've seen too many folks whose sense of worthiness, sense of self-worth has been completely eroded by a line manager who constantly undermines, criticizes. So build your personal confidence so that, and again, this is easier said than done, so that they don't make you feel that you are less than worthy because of their bad behavior. So I always say, be like Teflon, non-stick. But also it might mean you need to get a support system. It doesn't have to be someone in the organization. It might be somebody outside of the organization, just so you can manage the impact of this boss. But at all times, as you're not taking things personally, please remain professional. Never be goaded down to their level. So that's the third one. Don't take things personally. I would say fourth is manage the boundaries. Be clear on what you will put up and what you will not put up with. And you may need to communicate that either with words or behavior. If it's cases like, egregious cases of sexual harassment or other things like that, you should be able to report it or walk away. So in other words, there will have to be times you have to be clear about things you will tolerate and things you will not tolerate by walking. And finally, the last one I would say, Muriel, is back to the same thing about giving feedback. Be brave and respectfully provide feedback. So rather than saying, oh, guy, you are a bully, you might say, next time a few of us would like to present, then you can sum up those kinds of examples. But recognizing, I think, as one of our participants has said, they don't always take the feedback well, but we can talk more about that. So that's it.
Oh, that's amazing. So, I mean, one thing that actually stands out to me is be excellent at what you do, because when you're excellent, really, why would you have a problem? Because you become value to the company, and also they can't really get to you if every single task is done properly. And yes.
But actually, Muriel, what I have found is that what makes people vulnerable sometimes, particularly for an insecure boss, is their excellence. Because sometimes the line manager feels like, oh, you're trying to show me up, Threatened, that's the right word. But we can open it up. Let's see what people's experience
let's open it up for the questions. We can start with, we can definitely start with what Samuel said about bosses not listening to feedback and thinking that you're trying to teach them something, you're trying to teach them how to do their work. So he's asking, what is the way out in this kind of situation?
You're so right. I mean, not everyone is open to feedback, Samuel, and I would say feedback is a gift to folks, And if you give the feedback and they're not willing to give it, you don't keep throwing it in their face. You let it go and find other ways to influence. You start to seek out, well, who might they listen to more? But this is so in other words, you give it. If they're not willing to take it, you don't keep pushing it in their face. It's finding other ways to influence. But I would love to hear what others have done and how they have sought to influence bosses who are not open to feedback. And folks, if you're able to turn on your cameras, it'd be lovely to see you. I can see Lillian, I can see Marika, I see Euphemia, and I see Kathleen. Rosalind, because that way we feel like we're having a chat with people, not just screen. So if your network permits and you're in a decent place, you're not in the bathroom or somewhere else, it would be lovely. Josephine, we see you. It would be lovely to see you. Nice. Okay, so floor is open. I'm sorry, there was a point by Vincent, Muriel, I see, where he's raising the issue so much on culture. And we've talked about this before, is that the ability to succeed, I so agree, in terms of the feedback you provide, really depends on the organizational culture. So indeed, if you have a culture that welcomes, encourages feedback as a key tool for learning, then the higher the likelihood that feedback will be well received. Exactly. But folks, I tell you, it might be few of you who are blessed to work in such organizations with that kind of culture. Many of the organizations I work in, honest, open, candid feedback is not something that is easy for folks to do, and particularly on this continent, but across hierarchies with power dynamics. So it is an invitation that somebody's got to start. Someone has to be a brave one, a brave soul in terms of influencing the culture.
Oh, Angeline is saying the feedback might not be well received, but later acted upon without naming the source. Okay.
Yes.
So maybe it's not well received at the moment of like expressing it, but they keep it in mind. Actually.
Yeah, it comes back to haunt you. Yes. Yeah. I see Obadiah's hand is up. Do you want to come on in, Obadiah?
Come on in. Yes.
Hello. I hope you can hear me loud and clear.
Yes. Where are you joining us from?
I'm joining from Accra, Ghana.
Okay, welcome.
All right. So it's amazing. I've learned so much, especially when it comes to strategically dealing with, and I love the way you put it, not so perfect bosses. I think it's a big problem here in Africa because, you know, our culture growing up, we are programmed to respect adults a lot. It's a message that is hammered home, like always. And that message transcends to the classroom where teachers are to be respected. Teachers are not wrong. They are always right. If you look at a typical example is our education in our tertiary education, and then in Africa here, and then if you look at the Europe and then US, look at professors know they can be wrong, and professors are always willing to listen to what you have to say. Here, your professor is always right. Your professor can't be wrong. And even when they are teaching, they are telling you this is what it should be. It's from there, then it comes to the workplace where, you know, you've been hammered, you've been programmed for so many years to just, you know, listen and then do. So when you now come into the job force or come into the corporate world, now it becomes difficult for you to even give feedback because the whole program and how to even give feedback wasn't taught to you. And the people who are supposed to take the feedback, the boss, the leader, every leader on every level has been programmed to look at leadership as me being the leader, you being the follower. You listen to everything I say. I'm right, you are wrong. So it makes it very, very difficult. So I believe apart from strategically looking at ways to give feedback, if the problem is psychological, if the problem is programming, and it's been done for so many years, it has to also go back there when it comes to we changing that. That is helping people to understand, giving feedback to our bosses and our leaders. We have to find a way to go back and then help with people's understanding that even leaders can be wrong. I don't know how that can be done. I'm still thinking of how that can be done. But if we don't address the root cause, which is the psychological programming of leaders are always right, parents are always right, we can't solve that issue of, like, you know, helping, providing feedback. Yeah, that's what I want to share.
Oh, I love what you're raising. Thank you so much, Obadiah, because I think what you're really bringing up is indeed how we've been socialized and programmed in our cultures not to question, not to give feedback across hierarchies, whatever, you're spot on about that. And I've seen it. One of the things we do at Busara is we manage 360-degree feedback processes for senior management teams. And what we have found is that people have been very afraid to do this, you know, even after so many times us telling them it's okay, this is anonymized, people won't know. You can see people are still afraid because of the mindset we've been educated with and socialized. But one of the key things I always say to folks is that part of what will shift, or what needs to shift on this continent, is our ability as individuals to constantly question and evolve in our beliefs. We recognize culture is dynamic, but we too as individuals have to be dynamic. So there will be moments, just as you found, Obadia, where you realized, I have been socialized to believe that the one who is elder, the one who is senior cannot be challenged, and so it's hard for me. I think it's incumbent about all of us to start to say, well, does that belief still hold true? And if that belief doesn't still hold true, how do I shift? What is not my new belief? And how can I act on that new belief? Otherwise, we'll be stuck in all those old ways. But I see Kathleen's hand up. Maybe she wants to come in on that.
Yes, thank you, Taaka. Thank you. I posted a comment in the chat as well.
Okay.
A suggestion about trying to elicit feedback if the line manager is not receptive. But unfortunately, my question, a bit out of left field, is the other way, where constant exhortations, encouragement, telling people, give me feedback, give me feedback, give me feedback. It's like pulling tooth out of people. They just will not give the feedback. You have to draw information out of people with pliers, you know. So that is a flip side of what we're discussing, where people don't want to hear the feedback, even though they need to hear it. Mine is a case where I need to get the feedback and I'm not being able to get it. And it is so frustrating. It is so frustrating. Maybe that could be another day, but the flip side might also need, but again, our culture, people are not used to talking upwards to people. And I say, talk upwards to me, my door is open, do it. You're not getting anything from anybody. And it is so frustrating. Yeah.
But you're spot on, Kathleen, because it's responsive to what Obadia is saying. It's where there is a culture and a mindset around it. It means for those of us as managers, it's not enough to say, my door is open. It's not enough to say, give me feedback. It's too general. The mindset is too ingrained. So often what I say is get specific on the feedback you want to make it safe for people to get that feedback. So you've just made a management decision. It's right there and then. Okay, so you people, I've decided this and this. Remember, last week, I made this particular policy. How is it working? Are you finding that particular is working for you? What are you finding is the effect on our customers? So the more specific and timely it is, you're finding ways for it to be safe, recognizing that you're right, you will pull teeth and they still won't bring it. Recognizing that it's a slow process and starting small with things that are safe to give you feedback on. And knowing you, Kathleen, I know you will respond well, but it means, but for all of us, it's remembering that people are watching the way you respond to that feedback. Right, yes. Even if you don't like it, you catch it to make sure that you're constantly making it safe for them to give you feedback. Even when that feedback is really useless, nonsense, chaff, you still welcome it to encourage them because they're practicing what Obadia said they're not used to doing.
Okay. Thanks.
Muriel, are there things, thank you, Kathleen, are there things in the chat we should respond to?
A lot of comments in the, so we have Solis or Solas. How do you deal with a boss who delays your work and your boss's boss wants you to go over above your boss to report to him directly? Ooh.
This is a good one. And I've seen other folks come in if you have ideas how to deal with this one, but this has come up before in some of my coaching sessions, and then we'll come to Vincent.
Okay.
What has come up and we've thought through together with my coachees who face with this problem is Don't join your boss's boss to undermine your boss. In other words, let your boss's boss know how they're putting you in a precarious position by constantly jumping your boss. So with that particular coach, we agreed, every time your boss's boss asks you to report back on something directly, copy in your line manager. Still keep your line manager in the loop.
In the loop, yeah.
But also have a conversation, because really what you're often, and I've seen this too often, unfortunately, where your boss's boss is they're not doing their work. They're supposed to be holding your boss accountable. So they're going around it by jumping to you. So don't let them get away with it. Be open with them about how that puts you in an awkward situation. And say, and you know, sometimes it's also bureaucracy, particularly if it's that your boss is slow. So always just keep your boss in the loop, but also really speak to your boss's boss about saying, oh, but please, oh, I beg, keep so and so in the loop, because otherwise it looks like don't put me in an awkward situation. Make sure that they manage that end. And I saw Vincent's hand up. Is Vincent's hand still up?
Yeah, actually, I like the conversation around the 360 degrees as part of the appraisal process. And actually, whoever raised that, I think I would really applaud that. The 360 degrees, the whistleblower policy that might live in an organization are part of what really work well if the silent bit, the details around the culture and the practice is really alive. I'm saying this, and I would say the relationship between the vision, mission, and the values of the organization, if they really talk to the ground, where the clients or the beneficiary really connect that, then there are high chances that people who come to the organization will just marry towards that, because there's no way you will join an organization when you know that you have a character that is really against that. So that would really
Sorry, Vincent, please unmute. Vincent, sorry, please unmute. I muted you by accident. I was trying to mute Kathleen.
Okay. I was wondering how far I should go back. But generally, I was just saying around the 360 degrees, the whistleblower policy, and then these are all connected to what our organization, vision, mission, and values would really talk to the staff joining an organization, all the way to the clients, as we call them, beneficiaries. But the general idea is that respect in an organization really is the cement that really puts this thing together. Because I might.
I think he's frozen.
I just be in need of a job, but my character and my values would really not communicate to what really the organization is talking about. So it's a good conversation about leadership style. I think that is something that cannot be underestimated.
I think Vincent is also addressing what Kathleen and Marike put in the chat. Marike was talking about the 360 degrees feedback and including the line managers and the ED in the process of getting feedback from colleagues. And apparently it worked. And Kathleen was asking whether having a suggestion box could be interpreted as being too cloak on Taaka.
I'm gonna have Judy come in a minute. I'm so about suggestion boxes. I think those are great for feedback on organizational policies and other things happening. But I think a 360 in a right kind of context is better for feedback on leadership. But I always say a 360 is next best, is second best. The best is a culture where people are regularly giving feedback. So I would say that would have been a good way. I see Judy's hand up.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Hi, Taaka and everybody else. I'm not going to put on my video because
no problem.
I don't want you to see my background. But anyway. Just to add on a little, first of all, from the last point you've made, I think that, yes, 360s are good and all these roundabout feedback ways are good, but when it's an issue between you and your immediate supervisor, the best thing is to broach it, right? Try and find that best time to talk to the issue, to talk to the issue with a way forward in mind. You said it's important to get to know your boss. It's important also to always link it to the objectives and to showing the boss that actually this is how we deliver better. And by delivering better, you're showing your boss how they will shine, okay? And that would be able to, I think, work. Many times ego is a big issue, like you said, and very many times bosses are actually insecure. That's what causes a lot of the problems, their own insecurity that they have to manage. Of course, you can't go to your boss and tell him, hey, stop being insecure, or her, stop being insecure. But you find a roundabout way to build their confidence. I had a boss once who was a good boss, a very good boss. But this one time, there was this issue, and I was wondering what's going on. He started acting in a manner I considered out of character. So at the end of the day, I just went and broached it, and said, look, what's going on? I had ticked my other boxes, excellent performance. So I knew there was a good reliance on me, and it was clear that my intent was to deliver in order for the organization to prosper, in order for him, because he's the person who's the face of the organization. So when you're doing well, he shines. So, you don't try and outshine your boss. And I don't mean this in the negative way of pretending to be that you can't deliver and so on, but you do good work and you make sure that that good work is reflected in the overall results of the organization. And that little insecurity at the time was, done away with. And at the end of the day, I think that is one of the best relationships I have had with a boss. And up to today, that organization recognizes me. Thank you.
Nice. Thank you for that sharing. Thank you.
Well, there is a question that I think is very interesting. And Angeline is asking, she's saying having an emotional boss makes feedback giving difficult because we constantly walk on eggshells and have to wait for his better mood to raise some issues. And this is time consuming and mentally challenging. So what out of work ways do you suggest to manage your own emotions and put up with the erratic nature of the boss? At the end of the day, the boss is the person you're stuck with.
Ooh, this is a good one. This is a good one. Thank you, Angeline, and a very real one. Huh? And maybe it's in response to this type of boss that I talked about the strategy around applying Teflon, building your confidence, getting a support group. So in other words, doing things to strengthen your emotional resilience. Because the kind of boss you're describing, Angeline, and many of us, some of us may have endured, are people who are emotionally draining. I mean, the impact they have on you, if you are not careful, can bring you to the edge of a breakdown. Huh? So you need to be doing things from, again, therapy, coaching. Actually, I've had a number of coaching clients who have seen me because of their bosses. Huh? And so we've strategized together on both how to manage the boss, how to take care of themselves during that experience. And in one situation was how to exit the organization because they realized that person wasn't changing and there was no way out. So they needed a game plan to get out because they couldn't change bosses. So it's really coaching, therapy, support network, friends, intense self-care so that that person doesn't fully weaken you. That's a great one. Huh? Muriel, I see Lillian's hand up. Should we take,
Hello.
Hey, from Monrovia.
From Lillian from Monrovia. I really like that last question because it just kind of, it's not just a highly emotional boss that you'd end up dealing with sometimes. It's also kind of very passive aggressive, underhanded bosses that, are very adept at deflecting, not doing, giving the feedback and returning the work that you submitted to them. But then in a meeting, they'll be asking you, why is it that it's not my responsibility to remember, it's your responsibility to follow up with me and all kinds of things. And just kind of not accepting any responsibility for their hand in things, but then also just being generally very personally bullying, and not even just kind of from the stand, even when you're excellent, they're kind of finding ways to accuse you of things in order to undermine your sense of the excellence of your work and question your own intelligence, because that's something that I've had to come through myself, where I am. So it really, really helped to write things down and just kind of journal and get off my chest on paper or on a computer screen or wherever, just how I'm feeling and what, how I'm processing this. Because, and that happened over a period of time. That's not enough, because eventually that conversation is going to need to be had, with that boss, that look, about how you feel, as a mechanism for self-defense and for the definition of boundaries. Because I thought, okay, for over a year and a half, I was dealing with this, and I was like, okay, fine, she's going to be a jerk to me, but I'm going to journal. You know what I mean? And I thought that, and it wasn't enough, because at the end of the day, there's the getting the stuff off my chest and just having somewhere to park it. And in that process, now I know what the issues are, and I know that I'm not going to be gaslighting myself and saying, oh, maybe this is I'm just taking things too personally. Because it's like, once you see things on paper, then you can see, no, this is real. These are real issues. This is exactly what happened, and this is bad. But then also you find the words that that you can use to actually say, this is how I feel, and this is what I think you do. And so when I finally got a chance to talk to her, I said, I actually don't know what the point is of coming to you, because every time I have come to you to have a conversation, you have deflected, contorted, yourself. Of course, maybe I'm not, maybe I'm a cautionary tale. Because I will tell you what I think, right? And maybe it's not as safe for others as it is for me to do that. But I said, you would contort yourself into pretzels to shift responsibility, and it's impossible to pin you down to anything when you and I both know what the issues are. So I don't see a point in giving you the feedback, but here it is.
Yeah.
But guess what though? She doesn't try me anymore.
So you manage that boundary. So you were lucky to manage that boundary. Yes. You were lucky. Thank you, Lillian. You manage that boundary, and I'm going to invite Samuel. We don't have too much time, and I'm going to invite Samuel to come in. But just to say that I think Lillian has brought up an important point, that it might not just be about the self-care. You might need to do more. I've seen people who have gone to HR, if your organization is big enough to have HR, I've seen people go to other manager to say, please help me manage this situation. So I think that's the key point. It's not just yourself. It might be going further. Thank you, Lillian. Samuel, you want to come in?
Yeah, thank you very much, Lillian and Taaka. I really appreciate this discussion. It's really giving an insight and chatting way forward on how we can have a very good working relationship with our bosses. There are one or two things that I just want to share. One, we have to understand always that the boss is also a human being like us, who is also having a lot of things, a lot of personal issues and challenges as well. So if we have that one in mind, there are situations that in case you are having an issue, you want to share with him, it's also good to think and also come suggest a solution to that issue to the boss. It will help the boss, and also it will cement your relationship, and it will also chart a way forward. But if you are the type that always come with a problem, without, providing solution, because by the time you provide the solution to him, it will help him in thinking and how you can connect your solution with his for a better way out. So that's just what I want to add in what we're discussing. Thank you.
I love it, Samuel. Thank you. Very good. And this is a point we had. I thank you, one, for reminding us that our bosses are indeed human. Engage with them. But I think it's that second key point that don't always be going with problems. Go with the solutions. Thank you. Thank you for that, Samuel. Oh, the conversation is so juicy, and yet we've reached the top of the hour. Oh no.
Well, can you take one more question? I think there's one last question in the chat. Yes, so it says, how do you handle a situation where a manager assigns a task to a lower manager, and while the process is ongoing, there is a change in leadership, and the previous leader remains a member of the same team?
Oh, do I understand that? Can the person quickly unmute and share? I don't even see it in the chat. Who was that from?
Josephine. Josephine, can you please come on and...
Josephine, we just have a few seconds. Please do unmute and share. Is she there?
Yes. I think my understanding is probably you're starting a task and then they change your manager. And then maybe the new... Josephine?
Oh dear. Okay, because I can't seem to see it on the chat. If someone can copy and paste it again in the chat. I just can't seem to see it in the chat.
It seems Josephine is there, but she has not unmuted herself.
Okay.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, I'm unable to see it in the chat. Okay.
1 second, I'm gonna...
Yeah. Josephine Amankwa, I think she's the one.
Okay, she's putting it back in the chat.
Okay.
You've put it back in the chat?
And
oh dear. Okay, we're gonna. Okay, there it is. Okay. So the question Josephine is asking: a manager assigns a task to a lower manager, and while the process is ongoing, the change in leader.
Means a member of the same team.
Oh, I'm not sure. I don't want to think while I'm not sure of the context. You know what? I have a suggestion. If Josephine, unless somebody wants to come in, Samuel, you understand it?
Yeah. What Josephine is trying to say is the issue of, she had, there was a boss before who, there was an understanding probably, or there was an issue, but of a sudden, or maybe something happened and there was a change of button between the former manager and the new one. So the issue there is, maybe she's trying to find out if there are issues, how can she share with the current new manager, I think.
Oh, okay, okay. For me, this sounds like one where one is ensuring that there's proper communication to ensure that what was agreed previously gets passed on to the new one, particularly if what I'm seeing is she's saying that the previous one is still in the member of the same team. But Josephine, what I can recommend is that we're going to post this video. Oh, there you are, Josephine. Please come on really quickly to explain it. We have a few minutes left. Unmute yourself.
Oh. You're muted, Josephine.
Okay.
Hello?
Maybe we're running out of time. So just unmute Josephine. I can see she's on the phone. She's not in a good place, maybe. Okay. You know what I'll suggest, Josephine, only because we've run out of time? Two options. We're going to share this video on YouTube. Please do put your comment on the comments to the YouTube. Or number two, Josephine, I think you and I are connected on LinkedIn. Do also put it on LinkedIn as a post that I just pinged on this video, so we can continue the conversation, because this sounds like a juicy one that we need to understand. Right?
Indeed, indeed.
All right. Okay.
This was an amazing conversation. I really enjoyed it.
Yes. So shall I give my quick announcements then as we close?
Please. Yes,
So thank you all, folks. You know, we're trying to honor your time, particularly those in East Africa. So we do have a couple of announcements, really quick ones for you. I want to check, folks, let me know, is my mother on the call? Lydia and Apolline, can you let me know, is she on the call?
Thelma is not on the call.
No, she's not.
Okay, okay. So I was going to wish her a happy birthday, but she's not on the call next time she joins us. The second one is to let you all know that we have a vacancy at Busara Africa. If you're a member of our tribe, please check your emails because we'll be sending you out an email. They always say the best way to recruit is by referrals. So we'll really need your referrals. So please check your emails. If not, you can also check our website. Apolline is putting the link in the chat. So please do check our website or look out for the email for that. And finally, my last announcement is I'm really excited to let you know that this is a birthday month. March was a birthday month. It was also my birthday. And as my giveaway gift, in honor of my birthday, we will be launching a mentoring circle. So it's a mentoring program for young women leaders. We will be starting, we'll have the mentoring circle each quarter. This quarter, it will be just for West Africa. Watch the space in East Africa. It will be in the third quarter. And then fourth quarter, we'll have it in Southern Africa. And again, if you want to learn more, and if you yourself or a young woman would like to apply to mentor with me, again, the link is going to be in the chat. Either Apolline or Lydia will put it in the chat. Yeah. So that's it. Those are my announcements. I know we've ran over today. Back to you, Muriel.
Yes, thank you, Taaka. Okay, so thank you everyone for joining us again this Friday afternoon. It was such a great conversation. So we invite you to our next one. It's going to be on April 29th, same time, 4 p.m. GMT. And then if you've already subscribed to our leadership tribe, you will get an email from us to remind you to register so that you can be part of another exciting conversation. Okay, so I think we are ready for,
photo
picture.
So folks, fix your hair, comb your hair. Please turn on your video so we can do the photo really quickly. Jared, there you are. Leandre, there you are. Nice. Let's see you all. If you can manage, let's see you all. Samuel, Nee, Augusta, Vincent, just for 1 second. I know people are fixing their face. Okay. Angeline, ça va, very nice, perfect. All right, so who on the team is taking the photo?
Apolline.
1, 2, 3. Okay. Wonderful. Thank you all. You've been absolutely
Wonderful. Very good one as usual.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful week.
Everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Taaka, we are waiting for our cake.